Jenson Button comes through to claim an absolutely momentous second place here this afternoon. A tremendous drive from Jenson Button.
The race of his life is followed by the announcement that Jenson Button believes he must move on if he's going to climb to the F1 pinnacle.
Next year, I want to be challenging for the World Championship. That is my aim, and I think Williams is the team. Williams is the team I'm going to do it with, and Williams is the team that gives me that possibility.
As for the reigning champion, Michael Schumacher, he's on pole, eyeing a record 12th win of the season. Ferrari should clinch another constructors' title. It is race day just outside of Budapest. Welcome to the Hungarian Grand Prix. Hello there, good afternoon. So, Jenson Button wants to leave BAR next season. Williams are very keen to welcome him back. BAR here are doing their utmost to cling on to their man. 3 Swiss lawyers will decide who's got a valid contract. That decision expected within 3 weeks. That is the nitty-gritty, but the story is developing all the time. Louise Goodman reports.
Jenson Button's charge to second place in Hockenheim was the latest chapter in the British success story of the season. Jenson described it as the race of his life. Together, Button and BAR have reached new heights. But unbeknownst to the outside world, tensions were simmering behind the smiles. Jenson has always maintained good relations with the team that brought him into Formula One 4 years ago, and Frank Williams had made no secret of the fact that his former protégé was on the team's shopping list for 2005. So when Jenson's manager, John Byfield, informed Williams that BAR's option on their driver was invalid, Frank wasted no time signing Button back to the fold. Whilst Jenson relaxed in the Sardinian sunshine, Byfield sent a fax to David Richards informing him of the decision. Not surprisingly, Richards was less than impressed, believing that BAR had a valid contract for 2005. And so began the war of words, with both sides insisting that Jenson would be driving their car in Melbourne next year. By the time the teams arrived in Hungary, the matter was in the hands of the Contract Recognition Board. The independent Swiss arbitrator is expected to reach a decision after the Belgian Grand Prix.
As we wait for Jenson to arrive down here in the garage, let's have a word with the man himself. In his only interview of the weekend, he has given his side of the story to us here on ITV F1. His intended move came as a shock to the outside world, but it certainly hasn't been a spur-of-the-moment decision on his behalf.
It's always been in my mind. After driving with Williams in 2000, I've had a very good relationship with Frank since then, and it's always been in my mind. So it's not a sudden decision over the last week.
Has the fact that Frank kept in touch with you, even during those sort of bleak years that you had in between Williams and BAR, how much of a factor has that been for you? He's always been very, very helpful. You know, we've always been chatting on the phone, even when I was having my difficult years at Benetton. And he's always had confidence in me, which is great. He's a great personality in Formula One, but also a very amazing person. I get on with him very well. But that's not the main reason why I want to be there next year. It's because I think they have the potential of becoming world champions in the near future. And that's the same aim as I've got. One adage in this sport is follow the money. Jenson, you're looking me in the eye and saying you're not moving for extra money. 100%. I don't need to. I mean, I don't think there's one driver in Formula One that doesn't feel they're comfortable. And that's all I need, you know. That's something that is nice, and as I said, it does make you feel comfortable, that your family's comfortable, but I have that already. And a world championship is something that will stay with me forever. You're moving to a very different team, and a team that have a reputation of perhaps not having the tender, loving care of the driver that you've enjoyed at BAR. If you perform, I think you do have, and I'm not going to Williams to not perform. My aim is to do the best possible job I can for myself initially, and then for the team. And if things are going well, you know, I think you have the support, as much support as you need. And there's no number one there, is there? You're going to be head-to-head with a fellow called Mark Webber, who's a very talented and very ambitious driver as well. It's really exciting, actually. Really He really is. Mark is a good guy. I know him quite well as a person, and I've worked with him as well at Benetton when in 2001. Obviously not my best year of my career, but we experienced a lot then, and we tested the same components on the cars, and I know the way he drives and the way he works, which is great, having him as a teammate.
Is it to a certain extent, do you feel you're coming home to Williams? They were the team that gave you your chance in F1.
100%, it does, and I know the way they work, and that also makes it very interesting to see how it is taken by the team when they arrive there the next year.
How soon do you think you're going to be world champion?
I'm aiming to be world champion next year, 2005. And if it doesn't happen, I won't be too disappointed. But that is the aim of the team and also my aim.
So we know Jensen's not doing it for the money. He's not doing it based on current performance. He's not even doing it because he looks good in a blue shirt. He's moving to Williams because he thinks they can be world champion before BAR. But is he doing the right thing?
I'm amazed, actually. I don't get the understanding, maybe, there's something within the team he doesn't like or something, but I'm really surprised, to be honest.
Has he done the right thing? I don't know. BAR are performing pretty well. And also he's going to be up against the teammate that I predict will be a world champion post the Schumacher era, and that's Mark Webber, so we'll see.
It's a question of, I guess, did he have the confidence that they could sustain the level of performance that they've got now, particularly with change coming, because when change comes you need resources to handle it, to do the R&D, and that's when an established team is perhaps not a bad bet.
I think any driver looking at his future is going to look at a team like Williams and think there's a team that even if it's going through a weaker part of its history, will come back. They always have done and always will do. So I can understand why Jensen's made that decision.
Undoubtedly, strong regulation changes favour the teams with the best resource, but that includes the people, not just money and not just equipment, but the intelligence and quality of the people. And I can't say whether Williams have better people than BAR. Certainly BAR have done a very good job this year.
Jensen says, for his part, that he's joining Williams because he wants to win the World Championship next year. How much do you think Williams have to do to achieve that?
I think they need to come a long way. They proved last year that it can be done, but you look at this year, it says, maybe this year is going to help them to do so because they got it completely wrong.
Montoya heading for the door at Williams. Jensen Button talking to him, Tony. He's absolutely convinced the deal is on.
Yeah, of course he is, but it's very difficult when you're listening to the balance of the comment. It's very difficult for the team and other people to understand when BAR have done so well. Yes, they're a young team since 1999, but think about it. In his 4.5 years, Jensen scored 106 points, 78 of those in the last year and a half. 7 podiums with BAR this year. He must be scratching his head thinking, I'm very comfortable here. This team is going places.
Now, who are these judges that are going to make the all-important decision?
Well, they're 3 independent Swiss lawyers who sit in this contracts recognition board in Switzerland, and all the teams have to log their contracts there, and that's in the Concord Agreement. They will arbitrate. They'll look at both contracts and they'll make a decision.
Just quickly, do you think he should have waited another year, Jensen?
Undoubtedly, perhaps even 2 years, I think, with the prospects of BAR, and then perhaps, who knows, he could have even gone to Ferrari.
Sir Frank Williams was the man who gave Jensen his opening in Formula One 4 years ago. He's very keen to get his man back, but realises the deal's not done yet.
The Button affair is not concluded. We have strong hope and ambition for him, but it won't necessarily be our decision in the end. On the assumption we are successful, and we will make it happen if we possibly can. But Jensen's arrival was not part of our plan. It was an astonishment to us that he became available.
How did that come about?
I'm not going into detail. Spent the last 7 days involved in explaining as little as I could, without getting into detail, what has happened. It's not appropriate for Williams to take a sanctimonious position all of this. I'd rather stay out of any further comment.
Because you've kept the lines of communication open to him ever since he joined you way back when he was just a kid. I mean, you've kept in touch, haven't you?
Yes, we've kept a subsidiary option in place since 2002, when our first option expired, when Jensen left Renault.
And ever since, it's always been your wish that he'll come back?
In the long term, yes.
He was shocked to get the opportunity to get him back, wasn't he? But do you feel that relationship, Button and Sir Frank Williams, is a bit warmer than the one he's had with David Richards at BAR?
Oh, definitely. And I think there's a bit of that Jensen feels that Williams is his spiritual home. And I'm very sure that Frank has kept in close contact, because during the year we've had these comments popping up from Frank Williams saying, you know, he's a great racing driver, he's a wonderful talent and so on. That was a clue to the thing. And there is no love lost between David Richards and Jensen's Button's management group.
He's talking about being world champion next season. Is that realistic?
It is realistic. If the Contracts Recognition Board find in favour of Williams in here, yes, it is potentially realistic, but who knows what BAR can do as well. It's going to be a tough fight. And as people have recognised, Jensen has got a tough teammate in Mark Webber.
Despite all the distractions, Jensen Button has put the BAR Honda on the second row in qualifying. We'll look back at all the action when you rejoin us. And also we meet Hungary's only driving hero, Scholt Baumgartner, in the Minardi. He's been working out with Britain's Olympic pentathletes as he aims to carve his way up the grid.
Step back with the bent legs.
It's 24 degrees. There's a bit of cloud cover for the 18th Hungarian Grand Prix. They've got one of their own to support as well. Scholt Baumgartner's face beams down at you from hoardings all over Budapest. Now, he's got a Hungarian pal who's been helping Britain's modern pentathletes to get in shape for the Olympics.
The modern pentathlon and Formula One would seem unlikely bedfellows, but not for Scholt Baumgartner. He trains with the Hungarian national squad, but how would he fare against the British women's team? Their coach, fellow countryman István Nemet, invited Scholt to join the girls as they prepared for Athens.
Okay. So are you ready for the training today?
Yeah, ready.
Yeah? Fit and keen?
Yeah.
Off we go.
We push.
The British women are hot favourites for medals in the Olympic pentathlon, an event which mimics the pitfalls a king's messenger would have faced completing his daily tasks: shooting, fencing, swimming, horse riding and of course running. Scholt finds this unique training helps his Formula One fitness.
Lots of the guys doing bicycling and kayak and stuff like that. But I think if you do a lot of work in a good preparation way, it helps a lot.
The actual shooting is very simple. You just have to raise the gun, keep it still, and squeeze the trigger. When we say this is very simple, when a mind starts wandering, because you have a thought brings emotion, emotion is physical reaction. So you have to be a little bit a couch potato if you want to be good.
Times 50 meters. We start with intensive kick. In the middle, we go to normal front roll, and the last 15-20 meters, the leg die and just pull.
It's very good because when you are in the car, you are very locked in the seat, and the swimming is managing to keep your lung capacity much better, and it helps to develop.
Hallelujah! Praise God! The fencing is very artificial. You have to learn everything. There's nothing natural in it at the start. If he would be a more experienced 2-3 years later, it will be like driving, how the scenery change, the turn is coming. You do things, you don't think about it, you just do it. Oh, isn't it lovely? Yes. Step forward. Yo, so when we are moving, not the straight arm, but the leg move should be there.
Have you enjoyed your lesson?
Yeah, it was
bit scary inside the mask, but it's nice. It's the only similar thing, maybe the gloves to the Formula 1.
While Zsolt goes up for action in Budapest, the professionals are looking for gold in Athens. Kate Allenby, bronze medalist in Sydney, and reigning world champion Georgina Harland are two of the brightest medal prospects in Britain's Olympic squad.
I'm ranked #1 in the world, but in pentathlon, being 5 different events, it can spring up any number of surprises. So yeah, I'm getting my preparation right, getting my focus right, so that when I wake up on August 27th, I can compete to the best of my ability, and you know, I can't do anything else about the other people, so.
And you don't mind us bringing a Hungarian racing driver into training? It's not disturbing.
No, it's great. We met him when we were out in Hungary, obviously Hungary being sort of the heart of pentathlon, so no, it's nice to see him again.
Best of luck to Georgina and the rest of the team when the competition starts on Friday week. Right, now let's reflect to qualifying. Took place in unusually cool conditions by Hungarian standards anyway. First of all, we're going to check the performances of some of those drivers on the move.
Toyota have dumped Cristiano Di Matta in favour of this man, Ricardo Zonta. The Brazilian's done a creditable job so far, as he'd never before driven the revised Toyota. He finished just 0.07 of a second behind teammate Panis.
It's a very hard decision to make to replace a driver, and I think, you know, can be seen as very unfair on Cristiano. He's a guy that the team likes, everyone likes him. It's a difficult decision to make, but, you know, there's positives for us. And yeah, we have to see how it pans out at the end of the season.
Mark Webber's hauled his Jaguar up to 11th on the grid, ahead of Coulthard's McLaren. It's the kind of performance that's earned him a drive at Williams BMW for the next 4 years.
I'm very excited about it. I'm not wasting 1 second of energy on what else is going on around the team at the moment. It's good that I'm there and I'm focused on doing a good job from next year. So obviously it's a big milestone. Well, for me, in my career, it's the best and biggest decision hopefully I've made, and looking forward to it.
Meantime, Williams will stick with Antonio Pizzonia for the next 2 races as they wait for Ralf Schumacher to return to full fitness. Pizzonia impressed his bosses by out-qualifying teammate Montoya.
I have to say, congratulations, he did a good job. Second time in the race now, and his qualifying lap was really good.
Another good lap came from Giancarlo Fisichella, outpacing Jarno Trulli, whose seat he takes at Renault next year. Fisi thinks 2005 will give him a great chance of success.
I have a very good opportunity for the future. Maybe it's the first time in my life to have a good car, a car to win.
But there won't be much winning round Felipe Massa's pit. He missed qualifying after Sauber's second engine failure in 3 races. And finally, congratulations go to Mr. and Mrs. Kimi Räikkönen, who were married in Finland last week.
Ex-Miss Scandinavia, Jenny Räikkönen, she is here supporting her man. Louise Griffith here for Jenson Button, Tony. Despite all the distractions, the BARs clean out the second row.
Well, there's more turbulence, I think, in David Richards' office than there is coming out from behind the BAR Honda. But Jenson Button and the team, you have to take hats off to them because they've got on with the job really professionally and been on a roll since German Grand Prix. Although, a little shake of the head there from Jenson Button because he didn't get the tyres quite warm enough on the out lap. He suffered as a consequence. He was 4th fastest, while Takuma Sato here put in an absolutely blistering lap and got his 3rd P3 this season, and he's already had a P2 in Europe as well, and he was 1/10 faster than Jenson Button, and that delighted the team and David Richards.
Ferrari were totally embarrassed here last year. Michael Schumacher in qualifying and in the race. The Bridgestones, though, are working superbly. He's on pole for the 6th time, Tony.
Well, Ross Brawn said it's taken a long time to develop this new compound of Bridgestone tyre. They've worked very hard with the Ferrari engineers together, and he put together a scintillating lap. But Schumacher said, we're going to concentrate on the race, not worry about the Constructors' title, and he's looking forward to it here. The car's sliding around a lot, working away at the wheel. Great job from Schumacher.
Tony, unless your name is Nigel Mansell, if you don't start in the top 3 here, you don't win the race. Just chat us through the grid, could you?
Yeah. course. 62nd pole for Michael Schumacher as Ferrari lock out that vital front row for the 4th time this year. But BAR show unity and speed, 3rd and 4th. Sato beating Button. 5th, Alonso aims to rocket past rivals BAR. Sub Antonio Pizzonia did a great job to out-qualify Montoya, who was 7th. Said he sacrificed qualifying speed for race pace. Fisichella, a great job for Sauber in 8th. 9th, truly affected by rain. 10th, Raikkonen expected top 5. Wrong tyre choice. 11th, Webber's Jaguar, well balanced, well prepared. 12th, a critical DC tyre choice, too conservative. 13th, Panis in the Toyota, crosswinds affected him. 14th, Klean's Jaguar. 15th, Grand Prix returnee Zonta for Toyota. 16th, Heidfeld. 17th, Pantano for Jordan. 18th, Baumgartner desperately wants to finish in front of the home crowd. 19th, Bruni in the Minardi. 20th, no time. Massa starts last after an engine change.
We have just 6 races to go now in F1 2004. Let me just remind you how things stand in the Drivers' Championship now. A record equaling 11 victories for Schumacher, the same as 2002. He's also in line to be an unprecedented 4 times Hungarian winner. Barrichello looking good for the runners-up spot. A 13-point gap to Button. Trulli driving his 125th Grand Prix. Alonso was the youngest ever F1 winner here for Renault last year. Then Montoya, he was on the podium last time we were here. Coulthard's been runner-up in Hungary 3 times, and Raikkonen filled that position last year. The constructors, it's been a foregone conclusion for ages. This looks like D-Day. Schumacher and Barrichello have that astonishing 99-point advantage. 10 more points will be enough to confirm Ferrari's 6th title on the bounce. Believe me, it means a huge amount here in the paddock. BAR just 9 points behind Renault. That's a proper contest for 2nd spot. Williams plus 10 on McLaren. Sauber look good for 6th. Toyota, Jaguar, Jordan and Minardi, they are battling for the scraps. Right, let's drive you around the Hungaroring, almost as tough to overtake here as Monaco. The circuit's hardly used apart from this weekend. The characteristics change very quickly. Some drivers like Juan Pablo Montoya say it's a glorified go-kart track. We've had quality racing here though. You're with Mark Blundell. You're on board with the pole sitter, Michael Schumacher and his Ferrari.
Just the master at work, Michael Schumacher and his Ferrari on the front straight, coming down into turn 1, 180 miles an hour. On the brakes, about 100 metres. Just watch him turn in here. Look, a little twitch in the car, copes of it very well. No problem on the exit. Hard acceleration down into turn 2. A critical corner here, needs to get a clean entry. Apply the throttle nicely and get the exit for this downhill acceleration. Up to 5th, 6th, 7th gear, 175 miles an hour. Don't blink because you'll miss the turning point. There he goes, nice and clean, about 2G lateral low. Turn 5 now, chases the corners, long and hard, accelerates well. Comes up to the chicane on the brakes, car's very stable, takes all the curbing on the inside. Nice, clean acceleration. Into turn 8 now, we come to the left-right combination. The front end of the Ferrari is so good, gets Schumacher in where he wants it. We're at 10 now. Listen to the throttle pedal here. Little hesitation, but nothing to slow the red car down. He's into 12 now, slight braking downhill. Tucks the front end in. There's a slight oversteer on the exit, but nothing to worry Schumacher. 13 here, puts the front end in. A little bit of understeer away from the apex, picks it back up. A few bumps to contend with, not a problem. The last corner, get that car in there, get on the throttle as hard as you can. Rocket off, just pick up the exit curving. This is pole position number 62 for Michael Schumacher.
That is 3 shy of Ayrton Senna's all-time record. Looks good for the almighty Reds then, doesn't it, Tony? But remember what happened to him last year? Barrichello's wheel in particular?
Very embarrassing, a low point. Rubens Barrichello, look at this, who's going down the straight at 180 miles per hour, and suspension collapsed at the rear. The whole drive shaft pulled out, and a big crash for Rubens Barrichello. And Schumacher, they're both struggling on tyres. Defining moment last year. A low point, real embarrassment. Look, he's about to be lapped by Fernando Alonso. Fernando Alonso from pole position, winning this race. Look at that, straight past Michael Schumacher. Schumacher struggled to 8th, and there was the youngest ever Grand Prix winner, Fernando Alonso, rubbing the world champion's nose in the dirt.
Right, then we have moved down to McLaren here. They certainly have it all to do this weekend. The cool conditions compromised their qualifying. Raikkonen starting 10th, Coulthard 12th. But McLaren certainly come here to Hungary on a roll.
McLaren has undoubtedly made big strides forward since the MP419 rolled down the pit lane in Melbourne. It was clear from the outset that this was not a race-winning car. The team's hopes rested on a brand new chassis, which made its much longed-for debut in Magny-Cours. The difference in performance between the old car and the new MP4 19B is clear to see. McLaren has more than doubled its points tally in the past 3 races.
Do you feel that you effectively started a new season when this new car made its debut?
Yeah, definitely, because up until that point we were nowhere. We have significantly more horsepower than when we started the year. I think the car is a little bit more stable in the braking areas, so you have a bit more confidence there. And that is worth so much on the lap time.
But a return to winning ways still eludes the Woking squad. Kimi Raikkonen's charge towards the podium in Hockenheim came to an abrupt halt in the tyre wall.
Your frustration at the end of the race, or at the end of your race in Hockenheim, I think was plain for everybody to see. Presumably that's an indication of the fact that you've now raised your levels of expectation.
Yeah, of course, I think so. It always hurts when you're going well and you retired, because definitely we had the speed to challenge Michael, but that's gone now, and hopefully we can do something good in the race.
Points are possible here in Hungary, but the ultimate prize looks to be a long shot this weekend.
You got a choice of 2 tyres, and we chose one based on what we expected track temperature to be, and it's been a lot cooler today, so I think that the tyre we've chosen is working outside its operating window. From 5th and 6th row is going to be very difficult. You know, we expected much more based on where the car's been running in the last few races, and obviously in Hockenheim. So we've made it tricky, but I think we can maybe leapfrog a few people at the pit stops, but you're not going to, I don't think you're going to podium from there unless people have some big problems.
Well, Martin Whitmarsh is the man who's overseen those technical changes at McLaren this year. Now, it hasn't really come right for you this weekend, Martin, has it? But the underlying feeling is that you are making progress.
Well, that's right. There's no magic in Formula One. We've gone the wrong way with tyres. We'd like it to be a bit hotter today. We'd like the track to be a bit wider. But underlying, there's an improvement in the team. We're confident that by the time we get to Spa next time, we'll have a more competitive car again, and we'll be there challenging for race wins.
Do you think race wins are possible, or is it sort of too little too late to make a real significant difference?
No, we're always there to try and win races, and I think we showed before we lost the rear wing at the last event that the form is there. Kimi and the team and David have a chance of winning races this year.
Just under 50 minutes to go to the start of the Hungarian Grand Prix. We have a competition coming up in a moment. Martin Brundle not with us this weekend. Let's have a word with Mark Blundell and James Allen.
Well, you know, this mid-August date, a very important one for the Ferrari team, coinciding as it does with the anniversary of the death of Enzo Ferrari back in 1988. And Mark, how much would Schumacher and Barrichello like to go out and commemorate that anniversary by wrapping up the 14th Constructors' Championship?
I'm sure they would, James. I'm sure it's in the back of their minds. But what really is in the back of their minds is last year. Let's not forget that Schumacher and Ferrari got lapped. Fernando Alonso did a great thing and won that race from pole position. They've come here with Bridgestone. They've really turned it on. They've been outstanding all weekend long, and I think today's result will be very, very different.
Well, from what we've seen in the long runs throughout free practice, Ferrari do look extremely strong. The tyres are holding up very nicely here, aren't they?
Yeah, the Bridgestone is very, very consistent, and we're also seeing that on the Sauber cars as well. But I think the big disappointment for me is what we saw earlier with qualifying. Rubens Barrichello, he ran the softer Bridgestone tyre. We thought he might have dipped into the 1 minute 18s, a low one, like he did on the previous qualifying session. It just didn't come off.
No, it's weird. Barrichello won here a couple of years ago as Ferrari clinched the Constructors' Championship in 2002, but just didn't seem to be happening for him this weekend. But I'll tell you what's really impressed me is Jenson Button. All the furore about his move to BMW Williams, but he's just parked all that away, isn't he, in the back of his mind, and he's focused on the job. And as a sportsman, that must be tremendously hard to do.
Well, he's been under a lot of pressure the last couple of weeks. Yes, I know he's been on holiday, he's been on a boat, but, you know, he's been in the papers every day, and there's a lot of controversy down the pit lane about what his move is for next year. I think he's done a great job. He's got his head down, he's focused, he's put himself in the second row, and I still think he could be on a podium come the end of the race.
He'll be out to beat Sato. Barrichello versus Schumacher, a lot to watch out for.
This is Button's best ever starting position here in Hungary. Right now, that competition, and we have teamed up with Siemens to offer you the opportunity to own an exclusive limited edition mobile. We have 10 up for grabs, the phone used by the newly married Kimi Raikkonen, and it's got all sorts of state-of-the-art extras. Here's the all-important question for you. When did Kimi Raikkonen win his first Grand Prix? Is it A, Monaco 2002, B, Malaysia 2003, or C, Australia 2004? Monaco 02, Malaysia last year, Australia this year. The number to call 0901 293 2020. 0901 293 2020. You can text F1 followed by A, B or C to 85123. Those calls and texts will cost you £1. Lines closing midnight next Friday. If you want to contact us, our email is paddock@itv-f1.com. Text F1 plus your message on 86188. Louise, waiting for your questions this week. More details on the ITV F1 website, itv.com/F1. He is on the front row. Let's have a word with him. It is Rubens Barrichello.
Rubens, it's a long run down to that first corner, same corner where you had that horrendous accident last year. Now, you've got to get there ahead of Michael at the start to have any hope of beating him today, haven't you?
Well, I mean, you got to have an open mind and think that you can beat it at some point of the race. Obviously, the start would be a great thing, because I think, you know, having different tires than him, at some point on the race I'm going to be faster, and I think at some other point he's going to be faster. So, but it's a little bit dirty on this side. Although it was raining yesterday and somebody has been passing by, I think it's still dirty on this side. But it's still, I would put my money on myself still, because you have to be positive.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
He's won here before. How do you expect him to go?
I think he'd go very, very well. You know, he's perhaps on a slightly different strategy, different tyres, and he loves this kind of circuit. It's a driver circuit. It's very, very tight, a bit like a kart track. But there's the master there, Michael Schumacher.
He was lapped last year by this fella, Fernando Alonso.
Well, Fernando, we were talking to Michael yesterday. He says he fears you most for the race today. He does.
I don't think so. I think they are very competitive here, much more than the other teams, and they should win quite easy this race.
Thanks, man.
Would you expect the Ferraris, Tony, looking at the race to run and hide? How can the rest of the field get in amongst the red cars?
Well, they can only really do it through strategy, or if the Ferraris have problems, you know, they might not be able to get off the line. Especially Rubens going to have problems. He's on the dirty side of the grid. The clean side is the outside where pole is. That's where the cars have all been running. As we said yesterday, there's something like 40 tons of sand they cleared away from this circuit, and there's Bernie Ecclestone.
Very public cuddle and kiss for Bernie.
Yes, well, that's his daughter, so he's entitled to do that. But of course, and Michael Schumacher knows this place so very, very well. Incredible experience, and it's going to be difficult to beat him today.
Could be Michael Schumacher's unprecedented 12th victory in a single season. He could be the only man to win here 4 times. Don't forget Jenson Button behind the Ferraris. The Constructors' title very much up for Ferrari as well. Sato will be involved in the 170-mile-an-hour banzai to the first corner. Watch Fernando Alonso starting on the clean side of the grid in the Renault. It's the Hungarian Grand Prix, and it's coming right up.